Ethan Cole stood at the edge of the landing platform, watching the dense green jungle stretch far below him. The planet had been quiet for centuries, untouched and hidden, and yet it had called the attention of the Galactic Coalition. Ships from many species hovered above, their sensors scanning, probes floating over the thick canopy, and alien scientists taking notes with precision. To them, it was just another forgotten world, a small project on a long list of routine explorations. To Ethan, it was different. Something about it felt alive. The aliens did not take him seriously. Most of the crew looked at him with impatience or amusement. He was human, and humans were considered weak, slow, and obsolete. "Why even bring one of you here?" one of the alien officers had sneered when the team first assembled. Ethan had simply smiled and said nothing. He knew better than to argue with beings who could lift objects twice their size with ease or manipulate energy fields with their minds. He adjusted his jacket and turned to glance at the ship that had brought them here. The vessel was sleek, shiny, and filled with machines that humans could only dream of. Aliens operated it with grace and efficiency, moving through the control panels as if born to do it. Ethan, meanwhile, was mostly relegated to observation and translation, recording data and trying to understand alien technology without any real help. Still, he felt something in the air, a hum beneath the sensors and screens that told him this planet held secrets. The expedition leader, a tall alien named Varnak, stomped across the platform. His four arms moved in coordination, pointing to sensors, pointing to drones, pointing to Ethan as if reminding him he was nothing more than a tag-along. "Cole," Varnak said in a voice that rumbled like distant thunder, "your presence here is noted. Do not interfere." Ethan nodded, pretending to be calm. He had learned to move quietly, to watch carefully, and to notice things no one else did. He didn't respond to Varnak with words. He didn't need to. His mind already raced with questions. The planet seemed quiet, but quiet in the wrong way. Even the wind felt careful, and the birds or creatures that were like birds kept their distance. The jungle was old, very old, older than any records the Coalition had seen. The landing platform vibrated as other aliens stepped down. Soldiers with heavy armor, scientists with floating data pads, and assistants with equipment that blinked with soft lights all gathered. They were laughing quietly, whispering jokes about humans and how Ethan would probably trip on a vine or get lost. Ethan ignored them. He was not here to play games. A sudden beep from his personal scanner caught his attention. He moved closer to a patch of dense vegetation at the edge of the platform. His fingers brushed over the leaves, careful not to tear them, and the scanner hummed with a steady pulse. He frowned. The reading was unusual. Metal, very old metal, buried under layers of soil and roots. The other humans had long forgotten it, and the aliens assumed nothing on this planet could survive for centuries. "Found something, Cole?" asked an alien assistant, tilting its head. Ethan shook his head. "Maybe." "I'm not sure yet." He crouched down, scanning deeper. The pulse was steady, strong, not random. Something was down there, something big. He felt a thrill run through him. Humans had always built strong machines, and old stories of warships hidden on Earth flashed in his mind. No one would believe it, of course. The aliens certainly didn't. Varnak noticed the movement and stomped over. "Cole, step back," he ordered. His voice was low and commanding. "You are not needed for this. The sensors are sufficient." Ethan hesitated but did not move. His eyes were fixed on the green that hid the metal. "It's not just metal," he said softly. "Something is down there, something built by humans." The aliens laughed. A group of scientists floated closer, their instruments blinking. "Humans. This planet hasn't had humans in over 1,000 cycles. Do you mean ruins, old huts?" one of them asked, voice dripping with sarcasm. "No," Ethan said, his voice firmer. "It's bigger, much bigger, and it's intact. I can feel it." The laughter died down slightly, replaced by looks of mild curiosity. Ethan knew they were thinking the same thing. They had dismissed humans for centuries. Weak, obsolete, irrelevant. Even when humans had once fought great wars across galaxies, the aliens had rewritten history to make humans look like they lost everything because of incompetence, not strategy or skill. But Ethan knew the truth. Humans had always survived. They had always hidden when necessary. And they had always waited for the right moment to rise again. The aliens prepared to move into the jungle. They lowered ropes, drones, and energy cutters, making pathways through the thick vines and roots. Ethan followed, careful not to fall behind. His heart raced with excitement. This was not just a mission. This was discovery. The jungle swallowed them quickly. Thick branches scraped against armor and clothing. Strange noises echoed around them, making alien soldiers jump. Ethan moved with ease, remembering old survival techniques humans had passed down through generations. Step lightly, listen, don't make unnecessary noise. Stay aware of what others don't notice. After what felt like hours, they came to a clearing. The ground was uneven, roots twisted like snakes, and the sun barely pierced the dense canopy. There, half buried in earth and vines, was a massive shape. The aliens gasped, some laughed nervously. "Just a rock," one soldier whispered. "An old mountain piece." Ethan stepped closer. The shape was enormous, metallic, with strange markings carved deep into its hull. It was unlike anything he had ever seen, yet familiar in ways that made his stomach tighten. He knelt and brushed away moss and dirt, revealing symbols that only humans would have known. His pulse quickened. "It's a ship," he whispered. "A human ship, and it's functional." The aliens crowded around, disbelief written on their faces. "Impossible," Varnock said, stepping forward. "Humans have not built anything like this in over a millennium. Your species is gone. This is impossible." Ethan smiled faintly. "You always say that," he said, "but humans survive. We wait, we hide, and we remember." The aliens murmured among themselves, their instruments unable to detect life signs beyond the ship's hull. Ethan ignored them, feeling the weight of history pressing down. This ship, hidden here for centuries, had survived everything: wars, neglect, and time itself. He ran his hand over the cold metal. It hummed faintly under his touch, like it recognized him, like it was waiting. Varnock frowned. "Cole, step away. You are not authorized to touch." But Ethan did not move. Something inside him told him that this moment was bigger than fear or protocol. Humans had once built these machines for war, for defense, for survival. And now, one of those machines waited again, silent and patient, hidden in a jungle that the galaxy had forgotten. The alien scientists shook their heads, muttering. They would write reports, claim it was a fossilized relic, maybe even a failed prototype. But Ethan knew better. He had seen enough history to know when humans left their mark, it was never by accident. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the jungle floor, Ethan sat by the edge of the ship, listening to the strange, quiet hum it made. Around him, the aliens debated, dismissed, and mocked, but he did not care. He had found proof that humans were never truly gone, never truly weak, and perhaps, just perhaps, the galaxy would be reminded of that fact very soon. Night came quickly in the dense jungle, bringing with it sounds that made alien soldiers uneasy. Ethan stayed close to the ship, brushing away the last of the moss, revealing more symbols and markings. He whispered words he had learned from old human manuals, not knowing if they still held power, but hoping. The wind shifted. Somewhere deep in the jungle, a low vibration moved through the ground. The aliens did not notice it, too busy mocking, too busy doubting. Ethan felt it, a familiar resonance that humans had always known. He smiled. The ship was waking. And the galaxy, he knew, would not laugh at humans for much longer. Ethan Cole did not sleep that night. The jungle was alive with strange sounds, rustling leaves, and occasional calls of creatures unknown to human records. He stayed near the half-buried ship, running his hands over its cold, metal surface. The hum he felt before was stronger now, almost like it was breathing. The alien soldiers had set up a camp nearby, but even their watches and sensors could not explain what Ethan could feel. By morning, the alien expedition had grown restless. They gathered around the ship, shaking their heads, arguing over what it could be. Some were excited, some terrified, and most still dismissed it as a useless relic. Varnock paced back and forth, tapping his clawed fingers against his forearms. "Cole," he said, his voice low and commanding, "this vessel is old, it is abandoned. Your feelings about it are irrelevant. Step aside." Ethan smiled faintly. He had expected this. They always thought humans overreacted. They never understood the patience and strategy humans were born with. "I'm not stepping aside," Ethan said calmly. "This is not abandoned, it's waiting." The aliens exchanged nervous glances. They had sensors capable of detecting energy, life forms, and even residual technology activity. Yet none of their instruments could pick up the subtle hum that Ethan could feel. It was faint, but it was real, and it was powerful. A young alien scientist floated closer, her three eyes wide with curiosity. "Cole, what do you mean waiting? There is no energy output. No active systems detected. Your human imagination is entertaining. Ethan crouched next to the hull and brushed away a layer of dirt from one of the larger markings. Symbols and letters he had never seen before began to reveal themselves. His fingers trembled slightly as he traced the shapes, feeling their meaning even if he could not read them fully. "It knows we're here," he whispered. "It knows I'm here." The alien officer barked an order to scan the ship more thoroughly. Drones zipped around the hull, sending data back to their consoles. Screens lit up with analysis. The readings confirmed the obvious. The ship was enormous, older than anything the Coalition had seen, and mostly intact. Yet there was no sign of life or power. Nothing that should have moved. And yet Ethan could feel it. A pulse beneath the metal, a rhythm that matched his own heartbeat. The other humans had long forgotten these things, but Ethan had studied old human war manuals, old strategies, and old machines. Humans had always built machines to last. They had always built them to survive, to protect, to strike back when the time was right. Varnok's four arms gestured wildly as he argued with the scientists. "You waste time on speculation. This is a dead vessel." "Humans do not even exist. Why waste energy and resources?" Ethan stood tall. "Because it's not dead," he said firmly. "And humans do exist. We just wait. We survive. And this ship is alive in ways you don't understand." The aliens scoffed and shook their heads. Some of the younger soldiers laughed quietly. They pulled out climbing gear, preparing to explore the jungle further, ignoring Ethan's warnings. But Ethan followed them closely, keeping his eyes on the ship. Something about the vines and roots around it seemed wrong. Too orderly, too careful, almost like the jungle itself had grown around the ship to hide it. Hours passed as the expedition tried to map the area around the vessel. Ethan wandered close to the hull, kneeling by small access panels. He pressed his hands against them and whispered old codes he had memorized from human archives. Nothing happened at first. The aliens watched him nervously, unsure what to do. And then it moved. A panel slid open silently, almost imperceptibly, revealing a faint blue glow inside. Ethan's eyes widened. "It's responding," he said. "It recognizes me. It's waiting for a human." The aliens froze. Varnok's mouth opened, but no sound came out. One of the soldiers reached for a weapon, but Ethan held up his hand. "Don't touch it," he warned. "It's not a threat unless you make it one." Inside the open panel, circuits blinked faintly. Old energy systems hummed to life. The hum Ethan had felt before now resonated strongly through the ground, vibrating the soles of their boots. Small lights flickered along the hull, tracing patterns that only a human would understand. Symbols began to glow faintly, almost as if the ship was waking from a long sleep. The alien scientists whispered among themselves. "Impossible," one said. "This technology, it should not function. No species could maintain systems for this long." Ethan smiled faintly. "It's human," he said simply. "We always find a way." He pressed his palm against another panel, and a section of the hull shifted, revealing a dark passage inside the vessel. A soft hiss of air escaped, and the smell of old metal and oil drifted out. The aliens stepped back instinctively, unaccustomed to anything moving without their control. Ethan's heart pounded. This was it, the moment he had dreamed of. The ship, lost for centuries, had recognized a human and responded. The rest of the expedition could dismiss him, mock him, or doubt him. But he knew the truth. The ship was alive. He stepped closer to the entrance, peering inside. The interior was vast, larger than the aliens expected. Rust and dust covered some areas, but the machinery and panels still glowed with faint energy. Controls and screens flickered to life at Ethan's presence. It was as if the ship remembered the humans who had built it, remembered their purpose, and now waited for them to return. "Ethan," one of the younger aliens said, stepping forward cautiously, "how are you doing this? What is this vessel?" Ethan turned to them, his eyes calm but serious. "It's a warship from Earth, built centuries ago. We hid it, kept it safe, and now it's ready again." The aliens did not understand. They could not. Their histories had erased humans from the galaxy, made them seem weak, small, and powerless. But Ethan knew better. Humans had always been patient. Humans had always survived, and humans had always remembered. He stepped inside, feeling the ship's systems respond to him. Panels lit up under his touch. A low, mechanical hum echoed through the halls. It was alive, breathing, waiting for commands. Ethan's hands moved over the controls instinctively, reading symbols and pressing buttons that only a human could understand. Outside, the aliens whispered, their voices trembling. Varnok's forearms shook as he tried to comprehend what was happening. Soldiers held weapons, unsure if they should attack or flee. Scientists floated near their consoles, desperately trying to record the event, but none of them could touch the ship. None of them could make it respond. Only Ethan could. Hours passed as Ethan explored the interior. He found the bridge, the engine room, and the weapon bays. Everything was intact, preserved beyond reason. Panels displayed energy levels, power cores, and navigation systems that should have been dead long ago. Yet here they were, alive and waiting. Ethan smiled faintly, feeling a connection he could not explain. "It's been waiting for someone like us," he whispered. "Someone who understands humans." Varnok stepped closer, his voice trembling. "Cole, you cannot control it. This is beyond you. Step back." Ethan shook his head. "No," he said firmly. "I was meant to find it. Humans built these machines to survive, to strike when the time was right, and the time is now." The alien scientists and soldiers watched in silence as the ship's systems fully awakened. Lights traced along the hull, energy flowed through conduits, and a low mechanical voice echoed through the halls. "Human detected," it said simply. "Authorization granted. Systems online." Ethan's heart raced. He had expected this, yet the reality of it sent shivers down his spine. The ship was alive, fully functional, and entirely under human command. It had waited centuries for this moment. The aliens looked at each other, fear and awe in their eyes. The one thing they had mocked, the human, had unlocked something they could not comprehend. Their laughter, their insults, their dismissive gestures, all of it vanished. Now they saw the truth. Humans were not weak. Humans were patient, clever, and powerful beyond measure. Ethan moved deeper into the ship, exploring more panels, pressing buttons, and feeling systems come alive. The weapon bays hummed softly, energy cores glowed, and navigation systems aligned automatically. He ran his hands over the controls, feeling the ship's readiness. It was waiting for a mission, waiting for someone who could command it, waiting for humans to return to the galaxy. Varnok stepped forward cautiously. "Cole, what does this mean?" Ethan paused, looking back at him. "It means," he said slowly, "that humans are not gone. It means that when we decide, the galaxy will remember us. And it means that this ship is only the beginning." The aliens whispered among themselves, their disbelief turning into fear. They had underestimated humans for centuries. They had laughed, mocked, and dismissed them. Now they faced the undeniable truth. Humans were patient. Humans were powerful. And humans had a warship waiting in the jungle, ready to remind the galaxy that no species could truly erase them. Ethan stood in the center of the bridge, feeling the hum of the ship beneath him. Outside, the jungle swayed gently, unaware of the power that had awakened within its depths. The aliens could only watch, powerless, as a human proved that the stories they had laughed at were real. Humans had survived, humans had waited, and now humans were returning. The ship's systems aligned fully, and a soft glow bathed the interior. Ethan felt it vibrate beneath his feet, responding to him, recognizing him, and acknowledging its purpose. It had been hidden for centuries, but it had never truly been gone. And now the galaxy would remember the human name again. Ethan Cole stood at the center of the bridge, feeling the hum of the ship beneath his feet. It was steady now, stronger than before, and it seemed to respond to him, as if it knew he belonged here. He ran his fingers over the panels, and the faint blue glow of power intensified. Lights traced the edges of the ship, and the air inside felt alive. It was not just a machine. It was something more, something human. Outside, the jungle was quiet, too quiet. The aliens had stopped moving. Varnok and his soldiers had drawn back, their weapons lowered but their claws shaking. The scientists hovered near their consoles, muttering in disbelief. They had dismissed this ship as a relic, a forgotten piece of human history. Now they could not deny it. The ship was alive, and it was far more powerful than anyone had imagined. Ethan took a deep breath. "It's ready," he whispered. "It's responding fully." He moved to a large control panel and touched a glowing symbol. The ship vibrated under his hands, low and strong. The hum became a steady roar echoing through the metal halls. A voice, smooth and mechanical, filled the bridge. "Systems online, weapons online, navigation ready, human command recognized." Ethan's heart raced. He had expected this moment, but feeling it was different. The ship's power was immense. Its weapons systems, long hidden, were ready. Its engines, untouched by time, were aligned and waiting. The ship had survived centuries in silence, waiting for a human to awaken it. Varnock stepped forward cautiously. "Cole, what are you doing?" His forearms moved nervously as if unsure which one to use. "This is beyond your control. Step away." Ethan shook his head. "No," he said firmly, "this is not about control. This is about returning something the galaxy thought was lost, something humans made to survive, to fight if we ever needed it." The aliens murmured among themselves. Fear was spreading through the ranks. They had mocked humans, laughed at their supposed weakness, but now they faced the undeniable truth. Humans were patient, humans were clever, and humans had weapons far beyond their understanding. Ethan pressed another button, and a panel opened in the center of the bridge. Maps of the galaxy appeared on the screens, showing sectors, planets, and fleets. Sensors picked up nothing unusual yet, but the ship's scanners were far more advanced than the aliens' technology. It could see further, detect more, and respond faster. The ship hummed louder. Ethan felt the vibration through his legs, through his hands, through his chest. He ran his fingers over more controls, opening bays and checking systems. Energy flowed through the conduits, engines aligned, weapons charged. The ship was no longer dormant. It was awake. Varnock's voice trembled. "Cole, you cannot be serious. This vessel, this is a weapon of war. You are putting yourself and the entire mission in danger." Ethan turned to him calmly. "You don't understand. Humans are not weak. We survive. We wait. And when we decide, we act. This ship was hidden for a reason. It was preserved for a moment like this. And that moment is now." The soldiers shifted nervously. Some whispered to each other, afraid to believe what they were seeing. The scientists floated closer, scanning the systems, trying to understand, trying to explain it scientifically. But none of their instruments could capture the ship's full power. None of them could awaken it. Only a human could. Ethan moved to another panel and the ship vibrated again. Lights along the hull pulsed, glowing brighter. The hum was steady, powerful, and rhythmic like a heartbeat. He could feel it in his chest, in his arms, in his very bones. The ship was alive, and it knew it had a purpose. He pressed a sequence of buttons he had memorized from old human manuals. Energy flowed into the engines, and the ship trembled slightly. The ground beneath them vibrated. Trees swayed as if sensing the power awakening below. The aliens stepped back, alarmed, unsure whether to flee or stay. "Cole," one of the young soldiers whispered. "What is happening? Is it going to explode?" Ethan shook his head. "No, it's not a bomb. It's a weapon, yes, but it's alive. It's human. It knows we are here. And it is waiting for a mission." Outside the hull, vines and soil shifted as the ship flexed slightly. Panels slid open, and vents released a faint mist. The jungle seemed to hold its breath. Ethan ran his hands along the controls, feeling the systems respond to him. Energy flowed to the weapons, shields, and engines. The ship was no longer just a relic. It was ready for action. Varnock moved closer, cautiously. "Cole, if this ship moves, if it fires, do you understand the consequences? Entire regions could be destroyed. We could be responsible for war." Ethan looked at him, calm and resolute. "I understand, but humans have always survived, and humans have always returned when the time is right. This ship, this is only the beginning." He moved to the central console and pressed a large, circular button. The ship vibrated strongly, thrumming with power. A soft, mechanical voice filled the bridge. "All systems ready, awaiting human command." Ethan smiled faintly. "It's time," he whispered. He pressed another sequence and the ship moved slightly, shifting against the soil and vines. The jungle shook. Alien soldiers stumbled, bracing themselves against the sudden movement. Ethan stood firm, feeling the power flow beneath him. The ship was alive, obedient only to him and ready to show the galaxy that humans were not weak. Varnock shouted, alarmed. "Stop, Cole, you do not understand what you are doing." Ethan ignored him. He moved along the bridge, checking systems. The weapon bays opened fully, revealing long-dormant cannons and missile racks. Energy weapons hummed quietly, glowing with a faint blue light. Sensors aligned with precision beyond any alien technology present. The young scientist floated closer, trembling. "Cole, what is this? How is it possible? This technology, it should not work." Ethan looked at her, calm but firm. "It's human, that's why it works. We build to survive, we build to last, and when we hide our power, we wait for the right moment. That moment is now." He moved to the navigation console. The ship's engines aligned, systems calibrated. Panels displayed star charts and planetary maps. Energy flowed through every circuit, every conduit. The ship was fully alive, fully aware, and entirely under human command. Outside, the jungle trembled, birds and creatures scattered. The ground shifted slightly as the ship flexed beneath the vines and soil. Ethan's heart pounded. This was more than a discovery. This was a reminder, a warning. The aliens watched in silence. Varnok's arms shook. Soldiers held their weapons, unsure what to do. Scientists floated near their consoles, muttering in disbelief. The ship had awakened, and it was human. Ethan stepped to the center of the bridge. "Listen," he said softly. "The galaxy thinks humans are gone. They think we are weak, they think we are obsolete, but we survive, we wait, and when the time comes, we act. This ship is only the start." The ship thrummed beneath him, energy flowing like a river of light. Panels glowed, weapons hummed, and the hum of the engines grew louder. The jungle held its breath. The aliens held their breath, and Ethan felt a surge of pride, knowing that humans, long thought defeated, were about to be remembered. He pressed a final sequence and the ship shuddered slightly, then settled. It was fully awake, fully alive, fully human. Outside, the aliens whispered, fear in their voices. They had mocked humans, dismissed them, laughed at them. Now they faced the truth. Humans were not weak. Humans were patient. Humans were powerful. Ethan smiled faintly. He looked at the glowing panels, at the weapon bays, at the humming engines. The ship was alive, obedient only to him, ready to show the galaxy that humans were not to be underestimated. And he knew without a doubt that the galaxy would never forget the human name again. The jungle was quiet once more, but now it carried a weight. Something ancient had awakened. Something human had returned. And the first step of humanity's reckoning had begun. Ethan Cole stood on the bridge of the ship, feeling its full power beneath him. The hum of engines, the steady glow of energy conduits, and the soft blue light of weapon systems filled the air. Every panel, every circuit, every mechanism responded to him. The ship was alive, fully alive, and it was human. Outside, the jungle trembled slightly. Alien soldiers shuffled nervously, unsure what to do. Varnok's forearms trembled as he tried to speak, but no words came. The alien scientists floated near their consoles, recording everything, muttering in disbelief. The humans had been dismissed, forgotten, and mocked for centuries. Now one human stood at the center of an ancient warship that had survived time itself. Ethan moved toward the main console, pressing a series of controls. The ship vibrated as if it was responding to a thought. He could feel the energy flow through every panel, every pipe, every weapon bay. It was like standing on the chest of a giant, one that waited centuries to breathe again. He activated the external sensors. The jungle canopy shifted as drones scanned the area. Alien ships in orbit were visible on the screens, small specks compared to the power of the warship. Ethan frowned. The coalition had no idea what was hidden here, no idea what humans had built long ago, and no idea what humans were capable of. Varnok stepped forward cautiously. "Cole, do you understand what this ship is capable of?" His voice was low and trembling. "This is a weapon of mass destruction. Entire cities could be destroyed. Entire fleets could be wiped out. One wrong move." Ethan looked at him calmly. "I understand," he said. "That's why I am human. We always understand. We survive. And when the time comes, we act carefully with purpose. This ship, it was built to protect humans, to survive, to strike only when necessary, and now it has found its commander." The ship shuddered slightly, as if acknowledging his words. Panels glowed brighter. Weapon systems hummed, shields charged. The engines released a soft vibration that traveled through the hull and into the ground below. The jungle seemed to bend around it, almost alive with the energy that radiated from the warship. One of the alien soldiers whispered, shaking. What is it doing? Why is it moving?" Ethan ignored him. He had work to do. He moved to the navigation console, plotting a path across the jungle. The ship's thrusters engaged, causing the soil beneath it to shift and roots to snap quietly. Vines fell away as the massive vessel moved, rising from the ground with a slow, powerful grace. The aliens stared in shock. Some fell to their knees. Some hid behind trees. Some still tried to reason with themselves, thinking this must be some kind of malfunction. But there was no malfunction. The warship was alive, obedient only to a human, and fully capable of showing the galaxy what humans had long forgotten. Ethan smiled faintly. "It's time," he whispered. He pressed a sequence of buttons and the weapon bays opened fully. Missiles, cannons, and energy weapons hummed quietly, glowing with blue light. The engines vibrated stronger and the ship shifted forward, moving with a quiet but unstoppable force. Trees snapped under the sheer weight of its presence. The ground trembled slightly as it flexed, almost like a giant breathing. Varnock shouted, alarmed. "Stop, Cole, you do not understand the consequences. This is too powerful. You could destroy us all." Ethan looked at him calmly. "The ship will not harm anyone who does not threaten humans, but those who mock, those who doubt, those who underestimate us, they will remember what humans can do." A loud hum filled the air as the ship activated its shields. Energy flowed along the hull, casting a blue glow over the jungle. Alien weapons nearby jammed and fizzled, unable to penetrate the shields. The soldiers tried to fire, but their lasers fizzled harmlessly against the massive human vessel. Ethan felt a surge of pride. Humans had built these machines to last. Humans had built them to survive. And humans had built them to rise again when the galaxy thought they were gone. The aliens had mocked him, laughed at him, called humans weak. Now they could see the truth. He activated the main cannons. They hummed, powerful and precise. The jungle trembled again as the ship flexed, ready to demonstrate its strength. Ethan did not fire, not yet. He wanted them to understand first, to see the power humans could wield when underestimated. Varnock backed away, fear evident in every movement. "Cole, if you do that, entire regions could be destroyed, planets, fleets." Ethan shook his head. "I will not strike unless necessary, but I will show you that humans are not weak. We are patient, we are clever, we survive. And when the time comes, we act." He moved to the main viewport and looked at the jungle below. The warship cast a shadow larger than any building or tree. Its metal hull glowed faintly under the blue energy flowing through it. It was ancient, yes, but alive and ready. Its presence alone was enough to remind the galaxy of what humans had once built. The aliens whispered among themselves. Some trembled, some shouted in disbelief, some tried to retreat, but the sheer size and energy of the ship made that impossible. The warship had awakened and nothing could stop it. Not the jungle, not the aliens, not time itself. Ethan moved along the bridge, checking systems, adjusting energy flow, calibrating weapons. Every panel, every machine, every sensor responded to him. The ship was human. The ship trusted him, and he trusted the ship. Together they were more than anyone expected. The first real test came suddenly. A low rumble from the jungle. Ethan looked out and saw alien drones approaching from above. They had been sent to record, to monitor, to interfere. The humans' presence here was a surprise, and the aliens wanted to see what this so-called relic could do. Ethan pressed a single button. A pulse of energy shot from the ship, creating a field around it that knocked the drones away. They spun uncontrollably, crashing into trees and the ground. None of them were destroyed, but the message was clear. The warship was alive, it was powerful, and it would not be harmed. Varnock stepped back, his arms trembling. "Cole, you cannot control this. You are risking everything." Ethan turned to him calmly. "I am controlling it, carefully. Humans have always survived. Humans have always returned. This ship is only the beginning. The galaxy will remember humans, and it will learn not to mock us again." The aliens watched in silence as the ship moved. Energy flowed across the hull, shields glowed, weapons hummed, the jungle shook beneath its weight. Ethan could feel the power coursing through every system, and he smiled. This was not just a ship, it was a symbol, a warning. A reminder of what humans had always been capable of. Hours passed as Ethan explored the ship further. He activated all systems, ran diagnostics, and tested every weapon. Nothing failed, nothing faltered. Every mechanism, every circuit, every panel responded perfectly. The warship had survived centuries in the jungle, and now it was awake, alive, and entirely under human command. The aliens had stopped speaking. They hovered near the edge of the clearing, watching in awe and fear. The soldiers did not move. The scientists did not record. They simply watched. The humans, they realized, had returned, and they were not weak. Ethan activated the communications array. A faint signal went out across the planet and into orbit. It was a simple message, encoded in a way only humans could understand. "Humans are here. Remember us?" Outside, the jungle seemed to hold its breath. Birds and creatures scattered. The ground trembled. The wind shifted. The ship's presence alone commanded attention. Varnock's voice was barely audible. "Cole, what now?" Ethan smiled faintly. "Now we wait. The galaxy will notice soon enough, and when it does, it will remember humans." He moved back to the center of the bridge and placed his hands on the main console. The ship hummed, glowing, alive. He could feel it responding to his thoughts, to his commands, to his presence. It was more than a machine. It was a reminder, a weapon, a protector, a human legacy. The aliens whispered among themselves, fear and awe mixing in their voices. They had mocked humans. They had laughed. They had dismissed him. Now they could see the truth. Humans survived. Humans waited, and humans were powerful beyond imagination. Ethan turned to the viewport and looked out at the jungle, at the sky, at the distant stars. The galaxy was wide, full of life, full of dangers, and full of those who had forgotten humans. But they would remember now. One ship, one human, one moment. That was enough. The warship shifted again, engines humming softly, weapons ready, shields active. Ethan felt a surge of pride. This was only the beginning. The galaxy had underestimated humans for too long. Now the first step of humanity's return had begun, and Ethan knew without a doubt that the galaxy would never mock a human again. The jungle was quiet, but it carried a weight now. Something ancient had awakened, something human had returned. And the first chapter of humanity's reckoning had begun. They mocked the human, until an ancient warship was found hidden in the jungle, EP-1.